check the chat for the notes doc. We have a lot to do. We got lots to share out, kind of a little bit of a year in review, a little bit of a summit review, but basically turn it over to lots of folks to talk a little bit about what went on this year, and go from there. So I think we are starting out with, is Adrian on the call or?
Yep, I'm here.
Yes, there you go, Adrian. Take it away.
Hey, so quick update from Fynbos side. In the last month, obviously, we were at the summit. Thanks everyone involved. It was great. Myself, Kieran, and Amir were there. We're in the process of migrating all of our existing wallets over to a new MSB in the US and a new card processor. We had some issues with the existing partners, but new partners really positive, open up a whole bunch of new possibilities as well. And then
Adrian, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
We can hear.
Yeah,
I can hear him.
Yeah.
If you can't hear me, wave your hands. I don't know.
It might just be one person that can't hear you.
Is it? Yeah. Chris, can you not hear me still?
Yeah, it was a me problem. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, the very cool news is that we are now taking on South African users. So we've managed to finish our integration in South Africa with our partner here. We're starting slowly, so we haven't done any big press or anything about it yet, and we just want to iron out the kinks, and it's about to go into holiday season, so we're probably going to hold off till early Jan to really make a big fuss about it. But we are wrapping up the year. Sent our grant report over to you, Chris, yesterday, and we still need to do our sort of more public one and a write-up, which I'll work on this week. And there was something else I wanted to mention. Oh, we started working on a proposal to do kind of a clearing system for Interledger, something that would make it a lot easier for groups of ILP connectors to get together and peer with one another without needing to worry about managing liquidity and things bilaterally and so on. So kind of like a hub that sits between all of the connectors, and they can all pool their liquidity in one place. And the system would sort of do the accounting for them. So because we're sharing an office with the Tiger Beetle team, we're going to try and take advantage of that and see if we can build something really simple on top of Tiger Beetle to do that. But that's sort of still design and conceptual, and we'll look to kick the build off next year. Potentially also driven by some members of the community who can use it immediately. So we'll take their requirements as input in building that out. So excited to share more on that. I've been doing a bit of design work on that this week. I think could be a really interesting way to bring in some other projects that we're all friendly with, like Modular Loop and others. And that's it from Fynbos side.
Nice, exciting, good stuff. Next up, I think we've got Sabine and Rafiki.
Okay, so I was told I'm supposed to talk about my 2023 highlights and what I'm excited, or what the team is excited about for 2024, but I can also give a little bit of an update first. So ever since the summit, where we gave the big update of what happened over the year, we have been working still a lot on the telemetry feature, where I said we were this close releasing that, but we realized that there's a lot more privacy concerns that we have to take into consideration. So we're trying to figure that out, how do we obscure as much actual transaction data as possible while still drawing some insights out of the telemetry data that we want to gather. So this is still ongoing. And then we've also been working on some admin API changes, but I won't get into that here. I can type some notes out, and as soon as we have it, I can elaborate on that a little bit more. But then now I'll talk about my highlights 2023. So my top 3 are obviously the alpha release that we had in I think end of March is when we released the first one, and ever since then we had 4 more, so we are on 5 now, and we may potentially have another one by end of this week. So we'll finish the year with a big new release, and hopefully don't have to work over the holidays because something broke in there. So we'll see if we're brave enough to release, or if we wait until early next year to release that. Then also the first live deployment that we got by Chimoney is another big one. So Chimoney were actually the last ones, I think, that started the integration, and then were the first ones to finish. So they were super quick on that, and I think this was very exciting for me, and also showed that it's maybe not as hard that we thought we made it for people to integrate with it. But yeah, ever since then we had some more, and yeah, very exciting. This is also what I'm excited about in 2024, is see more live deployments out there, ones that actually have it already enabled for their users. And then another thing that we did in 2023 is making open payments more open. So you can use it with more payment methods, not just Interledger. Yeah, so what am I excited about in 2024? As I said, more live deployments of Rafiki, also getting out of alpha phase with Rafiki, and finally, we have been starting on working on a big refactor of Rafiki to make all of it a little bit more pluggable, because right now it's like this big thing, and everything, like you get it and it comes with everything, but you may not need everything. So we're thinking about making components of it pluggable, such that you only have to run what you actually need. So that's it, my update and my highlights.
Chris, you're muted.
Thank you, Sabine. Those are good. That was a well done, a lot of excitement and a recap. Timea, I believe you're out there, right?
Yes, I'm here. I hope everyone hears me.
We can,
And-
including me.
Perfect. I had the same briefing as Sabine, so I am going to talk about this year's highlights and what can we look forward to in the upcoming year. So we have some big highlights for the Breakpoint team, for the Testnet team. Of course, this is the year when basically the team was formed. We started as a team to work on a little project called Testnet. We didn't know what's at the beginning what exactly the outcome will be, but we achieved so much, I think, in such a small amount of time. We bonded as a team and got to know our Interledger colleagues as well in a very successful and amazing Rafiki work week here in Cluj. That's one of the highlights. And of course, we released Rafiki Money, which is our Interledger test wallet. And we released Rafiki.boutique, which is our Interledger e-commerce. So we had quite a few highlights this year. And I think it was a really nice and successful year for our team. What can we look forward to in the next year? Well, I think you all know about the Jordan project. So the Testnet team will be there to support in any way we can and help out that the implementation and the integration of Rafiki and the ERP is successful. We will also implement a new UX design for Testnet. We don't have any design yet, but that is the plan for next year to make it even more easier to use. And we also want to implement the 3 payment methods, cards, ERP, and module loop. And of course, we have to mention here the Breakpoint team handling web monetization, web extension. So they also have some big plans for next year. And I'm sure they will share more in the upcoming months. So let's keep an eye out on that too. Oh, yeah, thank you. That's about it.
Awesome. And well, let's see. Any questions about any of those three, or follow-up or comments before we transition? Go ahead and open your mic or use the chat. Go ahead, Sidi.
Hey, Sabine. I was just wondering if everybody is exactly on the same page with what you're talking about when you say telemetry, or if just a little bit of context would be helpful.
Sure. So within Rafiki, we're working on the telemetry feature, which is basically gathering data about what kind of payments are happening. So on the packet level, so how many packets are sent over the network, what is the value of those packets, and then also on the transactions, what kind of transactions are made, what's the value of those transactions. And that's exactly where the privacy feature needs to come in, because obviously a lot of this is business logic and we don't want to know exact numbers. We just want to get a feeling of like how much is the network used. So we're trying to figure out how to obscure actual numbers. Well, I think we're pretty close figuring this out. We just need to implement it now, obscuring that. And as I said at the summit too, this is obviously completely optional for anybody that's running Rafiki. They can turn it on, but they don't have to turn it on. We'll definitely turn it on for test network, because we want to see like what's happening on the test network. Is everything working? Is there like blocked passages somewhere where no packets are going? Like what's happening? So that's the telemetry feature, getting insights about the network.
Awesome, thank you.
Awesome. Any other comments or questions or feedback on any of these three projects? All right, well, these are our three regular sharers, pretty much every version of this community call. And I have to say it has been pretty exciting and fascinating and detail-oriented to see all three of you and then others on your team present and update on this call all year. So, I know everyone's kind of, getting ready to go into the holiday break and kind of get some energy back to start the year fresh. So let's go ahead and give Adrian and Sabine and Tamaya and the teams they represent a hearty icon clap there, because they have been updating, and I feel like everyone really has a good sense of where these projects are, because of the work that you all do broadly and that how much you keep everyone up to date in these meetings. So deep appreciation from the community on the Interledger side. Awesome. Well, we kind of intentionally skipped a little bit of the Interledger update today. One, because some of these things were already Interledger updates, and we wanted to do a little bit of a Summit deep dive and get some perspectives on the Summit, which is, obviously going to touch on lots of Interledger related things, and hear for other voices. So we're going to do our deep dive as a little bit of a Summit recap, and the perfect person to kick that off would be Anna, who's going to lead us through a couple of sort of small presentations to do some Summit feedback. And then we're going to also invite you all to share some observations or to have some comments as well. So Vanille, you want to go ahead and share your screen? And Anna, do you want to go ahead and activate your camera and mic? And as soon as you got your slide, you can start us off.
Great, thank you, Chris.
There would be a problem sharing with my screen. Anna, do you want to do it from your screen?
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Let me just load the slides up.
Screen sharing has not been a strength of the community call through the other. Honestly, my fault.
All right, let's try this. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's not letting me share. Lawil, do you want to try sharing from yours? I'll start talking as we're getting the as the screen's loading up. If somebody else wouldn't mind trying, that'd be amazing. So it was my first year at the summit this year. I joined Interledger in January last year, and since when I started, everybody was talking about how amazing the summit was, and as soon as you went there, you'd understand what Interledger was really about, and so it was wonderful to be part of it this year. I completely agree that it really brought to life what Interledger Foundation and the community represents, and it was brilliant. I think for a lot of us, you spend your life kind of sitting at a computer and talking to people through screens. So just that different energy of everybody being in the same space was amazing. And also getting a chance to meet colleagues that, you know, have never met in person before, as well as that kind of wider community and ecosystem. So if we go to the next slide, you can some of our kind of numbers. So we had 180 people came to the summit this year in Costa Rica, from 26 countries. And I think what was beautiful was that everybody had that shared vision and purpose in terms of creating a world where everyone can send a payment as easily as an email. And I didn't realize how many sessions we had, which was ridiculous because we were all involved in the planning. But as I was going back through it for this presentation, I was like, wow, there was a lot. So we had 37 sessions just over the 2 days, on the day 1 and day 2 of the summit, not including the welcome reception and all the amazing kind of stations that everybody had talking about their work, or the open studio, which I will be talking about in a little bit more details, and of course the first Summit Hackathon, which was a massive success, and CD will be talking about that as well. So one of the things that I was asked to reflect on was what was my favourite moment of the summit, which was difficult because it felt like there was so much, and the thing that I chose really for me was about epitomising what communities mean. So if you go to the next slide, so it was Jean-Carlos Demeter, when he kind of tipped up on the it was day 2, saying I've brought my instrument and I'd love to play for everybody, and so when he opened day 2 of the conference, and why I chose that was because I feel like it represents what coming together as a community means, that everybody brings their kind of talents or their gifts and shares them with others. So for all the things that we planned, and we spent a lot of time in various planning meetings going through lots of details on how things were going to work and, you know, what's the best way to do things. There's those unplanned moments when you bring people together that really add value. And I think this was then a thread that ran through lots of other moments through the summit where these conversations just happened. So they were unplanned conversations by just having people in the same space with that shared purpose, that has led to, you know, bigger conversations or bigger pieces of work together. So for me, this represents what community is all about. You turn up, you bring what you've got, you share it with others, and great things happen. So that was my highlight from the summit. One of the things that we did this year was also ask for people's feedback, and that's really important for us to be able to think about what worked well, and some of the things that came out of that feedback. So thank you for everybody that has filled in the feedback forms that we sent out. Was about individual kind of talks. This is just really representative of some of the pieces of feedback that we got. So some of the keynote presentation feedback, a lot of comments about the community that's growing rapidly, and the diversity of the community that we have, and that really gives us that positive sign for kind of what's next and how we're growing and becoming stronger all the time. Understanding about what the foundation's doing to grow the adoption of the protocol, and also thinking about digital financial inclusion in different contexts. So the introduction of art as part of that, and helping us think about things differently, bringing new perspectives to subject matters which can often feel inaccessible, or they can feel quite complex. So helping us spark creative ways to think about things in different ways. And then also some of the highlights there, you can see about some of the art pieces there that brought things to life in different ways. And also for the next slide, some of the areas that we can think about to do differently and to keep building and keep improving. So having more workshop style spaces, understanding how everything that we're doing fits in that bigger picture and the theory of change, thinking about some of the other challenges that we need to address, some practical things about, like I said, we've had 37 sessions over 2 days, and I know for some people it was a little frustrating that you maybe not have been able to get to the sessions that you wanted to because there's so much going on. We will in the new year have all of the talks up as well, so everything that's been recorded, we'll be able to share that with you soon. They're in the process of being edited, and also some practical things about having more time to ask questions about the work that's going on. So that's my really kind of quick overview of some of the key aspects of the summit, and just with a note on the feedback. So for the next slide, please share your feedback if you haven't done it already. Absolutely will help us kind of keep growing and improving both the things that work really well and the things that you'd like to see done differently, to make sure that everyone gets the most out of the experience. And equally, if it's not within the form and you'd rather send it as, you might reflect and come up with things in the new year that you'd like to see, we're always really open to receiving your ideas and making sure that we keep creating great experiences that everyone can get the most out of. So I will hand over to Lawil, who's going to tell you a little bit more about, sorry, Chris.
One second. Will you do us a favor and post the link to the survey both in the Google Meets chat and put it in the document as well? So people who have not done it yet have an opportunity to click on that link and fill it out.
I will do. I'd got that in my notes as well. I was like, here's the link to that. I'm like, share your feedback, but I'm not going to tell you how. Yeah, I'll do that now.
Throw it in the chat in the doc, and then I would invite everyone to fill it out if you have not yet, if you were there. And even if, if you were even virtually watching, you can probably go ahead and put that in there, and then you could still comment on some of the stuff that you were able to watch on the live stream. All right. Sorry, Lowell, didn't mean to jump in there. Take it away.
Oh, no worries. Well, thank you, Chris. So I'm going to, thank you, the other side. So I'm going to talk about the Future Money Arts and Culture Grant, and of course the cohort's presence at the summit. I actually love saying that art acts as a collective memory of society, and the intrinsic value of it enriches individuals' lives. And I do believe we saw that at the summit as well. So the Future Money Arts and Culture Grant was created to utilize artists to envision the future of financial structures. And we had that question asked as well, of course, why does the IF support an arts and culture grant, or this one specifically? So the intersection of art and technology has been a driving force throughout history. And then with each technological advancement or development, artists found new ways to express themselves, but also to engage with their audiences. What you have to see, or what you have to think of, is that the cohort of artists you see on this picture, they are thinkers, makers. They provide their own communities with joy, with interaction, inspiration. But they're also the ones that give a thoughtful critique on our political, economical, social systems. And quite often, artists are part or are at the periphery of society. So that's why they're important. And of course, with the feedback that we received, we also saw the importance of the artist. So we asked this cohort of artists to present their work in progresses at the Interledger Summit in San Jose. So we can go to the next slide. Yeah. Oh, I'm forgetting something, but it's fine. I will introduce it on this side. So of course, everybody, the artists as well, and me as well, we were very thankful that the Interledger Foundation wanted to provide the artists this space, and of course also the support to create the space. And for me personally, I saw the Open Studio space as something of a space for peace, but also refuge and inspiration. And of course, the creation of the dialogues that were needed. Let me see. So on the bottom left, so I'm going to mix it up a little bit. You see an image of our project called Thank You for doing that. It's a project called Resimulate, which explores the effectiveness of financial and economic programs popular in self-help businesses. So what they've done is actually they created economical simulations and then 3D printed these simulations to kind of like engage in the conversation of what that actually means, that people, build their livelihoods around those these self-help books. Then the bottom middle picture, sorry, I have a small screen. One of the large pieces was Loose Change, which was created by Mia Wright-Ross, which reimagines structures created by litter of lottery tickets. And she kind of like questions theologies of money, poverty, wealth, gain, loss, and hope. Then on the bottom right, it was a 3D projection by Lena Ganinjet. That installation kind of like aimed to illustrate the evolution of money from a tangible matter that originates directly from Earth into something immaterial, or what is it, into something increasingly immaterial, such as the financial system. And it's kind of like questions the role of natural resources and how we should share or divide them then. Let me see. Then on the top right, thank you. So that was a project by Esther Mwema and John. Now I'm getting confused about it. I'm going to skip that. So that was, what is it? Esther Mwema's project was the Afrofuturist Village Banking. These were kind of like living archives of, or she likes to call them living archives. So these were stories from elders who participate in village banking. And she's kind of like trying to center this type of system to engage in a new conversation about capitalism. And then we, of course, also had Waterworks of Money. I realized when I read the reviews that a lot of people saw the screening as well, and it was a very beautiful project. So Waterworks of Money, it's on the, what is that? The middle top slide, but it's a small presentation. But basically, they map out financial systems. The reason why they started this project is because they realized that the financial system is quite incomprehensible and understandable for a lot of people who don't have economic or financial background. Currently, they're trying to work out 3 future scenarios for this grant. Then, did I miss one? We had one more, another screening, which was Bringing Down a Mountain, which was a documentary short centered around the idea what if financial inclusion is a right and not a privilege. And Subhashish, the creator, he actually used open source images to create the documentary short, what I like to call kind of like a poetic intervention of India's UPI system. And then we had one more project, and I invited her as well to talk about her experience of the summit. So the last project was Parallel Society from Xiaoji Song. And Parallel Society is a storytelling game that explores financial inclusion and equity. Before we hop on to Xiaoji, my experience kind of like about of the Future Money Open Studios was that it was a very unique but mutually enriching experience. For me, kind of like became quite evident that both sectors actually are talking in a similar language, but then, or making similar points, but talking in a different language. I don't know if that was for any of you who attended the summit, but yeah. So Xiaoji, you can go ahead. Oh, we can go to the next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Lave, for giving a summary of like the introducing our works and the Open Studio exhibition. Hi everyone, I'm Xiaoji. I am working as the artist grantee to work with the Parallel Society, where I would say I'm like exploring mostly the emotional relationship we have money and with like the financial system as a whole, and this emotional relationship and like how sometimes there's a violent nature to it, and how that like echoes the like different forms of marginalization and how they actually sometimes are in parallel with each other, even though sometimes different forms of marginalization are pitted against each other. So my like what I showed there was a poetic interlude based on the characters I'm developing for the game. And this year at the summit, I was really impressed because I was also in the summit last year in New Orleans. That was my first experience with the Interledger. I was there for a panel, and I remember I was always very interested at Interledger's work because very long ago with the Grant for the Web, like Interledger founded one of the very prominent Chinese activist community sites where like many like Chinese activists and dissidents share stories and their blogs and writings and journalistic works there. And I like last year I definitely felt more out of place and not sure like what is my usual connection with technology and how does I like connect with Interledger's community, because I'm more used to people in art or in politics, even though I'm always working with technopolitics and like sensitive technology studies, but still I feel like such a like small minority and like not sure like when I'm more used to a different kind of discourse and perspective, how do I connect with people? And this year I feel like with the artworks being there, and also maybe I just also get more comfortable with the environment and connect with more people personally. I feel much more like intimate conversations and connections, and manage to have much more conversations with people through the work first, and then like we start to talk more about what financial inclusion means for us, and what kind of like psychological impact and behavior pattern we have as a result of financial exclusion. And yeah, so like the highlights for me this year is definitely like the rather interactive dialogical parts, although like the sessions were also really brilliant. But like where I really made connections with people is when I was in the open studio, where I was waiting there, and like some people come and check the work, and then they were a bit shy, and then I started to make conversation with them, and we start to actually talk about how they feel about the work, and also like our understanding of financial inclusion. And yeah, and I would say my favorite thing is, however, not even in the exhibition, but in the hackathon. So at the end of the summit, when a lot of things has ended, and like I had a lot of conversations with people, I think that day was the day that the exhibition is almost closing down. And we had some interviews and things planned during the hackathon time, but at the end of the hackathon, I ran to the room to see the final presentation, and I sit on the table with like a group of people that are really different, that I would not imagine them having conversation with each other. There were some new friends I made through the summit from the NGOs in Amsterdam, and a startup, and they don't really seem like they actually understand much of each other's topic, but they were trying, and they were having a lot of fun. That was a very lovely moment, because I also do not fully understand what they're talking about, but I'm also trying, and I'm also having fun. Like I wish I had more time to have those like cute exchanges, and those moments of trying to understand each other, like at the end, like the hackathon. And I really feel like this summit is like a really great start to bring people from very different fields usually together, and have conversations with each other, and together speculate a future that we all want. And yeah, and also like the heard about the Wikipedia accident in the hackathon. That was also very interesting. It's really changed my idea about hackathon and what can be done there, and that was really lovely. Thank you.
Wow, you gave us a just wonderful transition into CD and talking about aspects of the hackathon. So take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Shaji. Thanks, Chris. You hear me all right? Do you?
Yes, you're good.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. So I'm quite happy to share some of what we learned at the hackathon earlier this year. It will be lessons and highlights and sort of how we move forward that I'll be sharing out today. So day 3, I would say, had 2 sort of main group activities. The one was the hackathon, kind of an all daytime affair. And then the other was, I think there was a grant meetup session in the morning. And I've heard from some of the grantees saying that was amazing. So I'll be diving into what the hackathon was like. There were 4 challenges that we presented, and one of them was a design challenge. The other 3 were more building, right? So the design challenge was, let's say, no code, where the other 3 challenges were about building or putting together some kind of proof of concept or prototype using the Open Payments API, or using Tiger Beetle database, or using web monetization, right? So in some way showing us some kind of funky thing that you're able to do by the end of the day. We had the page for contributions and submissions, etc., but also the detail of the challenges hosted on Dev Post. It's still there if you are keen to dig a little bit more into what was available, as well as what have been submitted by the different groups. We had a really valuable page for resources for each of the challenges as well. This is also still up. You're welcome to check it out if that tickles your fancy. But what I want to share with you is like what we wanted, what were our objectives or goals for the hackathon, right? We were hoping for, at the very least, half of the teams presenting or demoing at the end of the day on stage. We're also hoping for it to be like a really vibrant, supportive, collaborative environment for like questions and discussions and learning and experimenting, for it to feel just kind of, supportive in that way and supported in that way. It also felt like a good time to have participation across the board, so that it wasn't just technical folks in the room, but really anybody that wanted to contribute to thinking about or talking about or getting some kind of contribution in. So over here, I'm just showing you a little bit of what the day looked like, or what the group in the room looked like. There were 48 participants. There were 11 demos by the end of the day, because the participants formed groups, and a total of 7 winners, all over the course of about 8 hours. Highlights, I would echo the word energy for sure. And I've been reading some of the survey feedback that's been shared, and the word energy. And I would say that was co-created between the participants and the facilitators, etc. There was just a beautiful, or like a really wonderful kind of buzz. I appreciate that for some it was a little bit loud and for some it was a little bit cold, but the energy in the room I thought was wonderful. The participants and their contributions were incredible. The types of challenges, but also having sort of no code or less codey portion of contribution as well. That was really wonderful. We had a group of folks working on creating Interledger Wikipedia content in the room. And then the demos, just the number of demos and the quality was really, really amazing to see. I just thought it was incredible that folks, chose to spend their time and their energy in that way. That was wonderful. So super thankful for that. Areas to improve, there's lots and lots and lots of learning that we did. And in fact, there's a whole lot more to this list, but I wanted to highlight almost unanimously, we said it was too little time, like 8 hours, just not enough for the hackathon. I think it put pressure on the process of submission and the judging as well. It felt like we could have planned that and just kind of created some ease and space and seamlessness in those processes. Planning and communication, definitely want to iterate on having that be a lot more detailed and timely, and just improving on the quality of comms pre, during, and post the event. The fact that we had an awesome event happening with the grantees in the morning also meant that some of the grantees or some of the folks that might have wanted to participate in both were not able to. So maybe making some adjustments there that could be helpful in future, but also just the way that we use some of the tools. In particular, I thought, or it felt like we could have made better use of Slack, as well as DevPost itself. We also had some glitches at the end of the day, but that's all that's all part of the learning process. So if I may be so bold as to ask, if you were there, if you participated and you haven't yet shared your feedback on the survey, please do so. There's a link right up top. We also have an awesome blog post from one of the Hackathon Challenge winners, the winner from the Web Monetization Challenge posted had a blog post on the Community Interledger page. We have the Hackathon page still up if you want to see what those challenges were all about, as well as the resources, etc. If you want to dig a little bit more into what our lessons were, what went well, what didn't, there's a Miro board that we're happy to share with you. And then, of course, photos from the day. There's a little Google Drive, and please drop in there and take a look whenever you have some time. So I think that is all from me. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We don't have I knew we'd be up against it, but before we move on, anybody have any questions or comments on any of our 3 guests there before we move on? All right. Well, then we got a couple guest perspectives that we've also invited, along with the ones you've already heard from. Nico, are you out there in the Google Ether?
Yes, I am.
There you go. Take it away.
So I was happy to receive this invite just as an opportunity to thank you all guys for the amazing event and the opportunity to meet a lot of new people and learn a lot. I didn't know much about, you know, the Interledger protocol, micropayments. I learned a lot on that, cross-border instant payments. And it was an opportunity to bring colleagues from Brazil and India and talk in a comparative setting on what they call digital public infrastructure. So payment interfaces as something that basically the state should provide as a new infrastructure in the digital age, and that everybody should be able to connect to. And we met there also friends from Brazil that launched a startup cult that is based on the ILP. And so it was very interesting to learn about this. We already made contact and are organizing an invitation for them to come over to one of our conferences here. Next year in Brazil, we will have the G20, and one of the discussion is this one on digital public infrastructure, and interoperability of social media is one of the big topics that are being proposed. And I think, you know, this project that they have and the Interledger protocol fits very well into that. So we are going to advance some of this discussion and hopefully provide another space for this mutual learning and exchange very soon. And so I hope that you get, some of you will come and that we can stay in touch and build things, because fortunately I'm just a lawyer, but I'm very happy to learn and connect people that do things and try to put this in a way that is helpful also from a policy perspective. So that's kind of my role that I felt I managed to do there, you know, bring also some friends from the policy field and connect to the doers. And this was great for me. So thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Nico. We need more lawyers. So you're not just a lawyer. You know, I think anyone that's been on the technology side and, you know, kind of try to put some of this stuff out into the world knows that how important lawyers and guidance and regulation and policy, and then not just guidance, but then ways to advocate for how we might do it forward collectively. So I think that was a big add. So thank you. And then Carlos, I believe you are also out there and sort of share a guest perspective as well.
Hey, hello everybody.
Hi, Carlos.
Well, in my case, I was invited by Nico. I met Nico, well, I believe that around 2012 or something like that in South Africa. At the time, I used to be involved in terms related to internet and security protocols and all this technical stuff. So he told me like, hey, why don't you come to this event? It will be nice to see you there. So I went, and it blows my mind, all the things that you guys are doing, all the effort that you are putting in this platform. My perspective as a guest, I didn't saw enough Costa Ricans. And me as an engineer, being part of the community of engineers and people that are trying to develop things in Costa Rica, we have the same issues, we have the same concerns. So there's a lot of people that can get involved in this type of movements. So I believe that is really important for Interledger, because you are doing a huge effort to bring for all these people to Costa Rica. So why not invite Costa Ricans to be part of this movement? Why don't try to bring people that are in the universities trying to develop these kind of things? And like I said, like we have the same issues related to payment platforms. So it will be nice to see Interledger trying to bring the communities together to the places that they are going, so the movement can grow faster, have more minds, more hands. So that's my 5 cents for this conversation. But yeah, everything else was amazing. I was part of the hackathon. A lot of great minds working together. So yeah, it's something really nice to see.
Well, thank you, Nico and Carlos. And Carlos, I have to say that piece of feedback has come through in our surveys. It's come through in some informal conversations. It came through in a discussion we had with some participants, I think just yesterday in our open payments huddle. So heard. And I think we even had some self-reflection about that as well. And then that's an area that we can improve on. I think we did it better by the region maybe than we did by the country. But that's I think not really what you're saying either. I think we've got to start building more roots in our host cities, and we have some decisions to make about, does that mean putting down roots for a couple years in one city? Because that stuff is hard to, that's hard to cook up in one go when you're one and done, or you have to make a decision on where earlier and start that outreach a lot earlier. But I think that has been one of the headline pieces of feedback. So thank you for delivering it in this call.
Thank you.
Anybody want to open up their camera or mic and do any kind of pop-up reflections or anything you'd want to follow up with any of our guests, or have your own ideas or reflections you'd like to share at this time? Going once, going twice. Awesome. Well, especially if you don't feel comfortable saying it out loud and you have not done the survey yet, this would be a good opportunity for you to click on the link and fill out the survey. That is going to be invaluable data as we plan forward. So you are doing an immense contribution to next year's summit by filling that out. As we wind down 2023, amazingly enough, feels like we were just kicking it off, to be honest with you. I did want to highlight some work that we're excited about in the ecosystem that Sabine actually talked about in her Rafiki update earlier in the call, and that is our grantee, Chimoney, who is out there in the world using these tools and advancing our ideas and their product. We plan on having Uchi and Chimoney go deeper on what they're doing in community calls coming up, but we wanted to kind of end the year with a little bit of an update from them and to talk about some excitement about what's going on. So Uchi, are you out there in the ether?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm actually in Lagos, Nigeria right now. Still out in that. But yeah, thanks so much everyone for the comment, for the support, and also it was nice meeting everyone in Costa Rica. So quick updates from Chimoney. We have the payment pointer deployed in production. I believe we have over 100 payment pointers created already within the Chimoney platform. And so far, since it's Chimoney to Chimoney transfers are supported, those payment pointers are not active yet in terms of like doing transfers. The next phase for Chimoney is to pair with other licensed entities to enable users to do cross-platform transfers. So, for example, between GitHub payment pointers and Chimoney payment pointers. So that's underway. It's the compliance side of things that we just need to figure out to get that live. And for the Chimoney payment pointer specifically, what it supports today is that, sorry about the background noise. So what it supports today for the Chimoney payment pointer is for the user to accept payment to their payment pointer, just like an email. So a Chimoney payment pointer, a business or individuals can send payment to that payment pointer, and then it settles in their Chimoney wallet. And then they can go from their Chimoney wallet to their bank account, to their mobile wallet, to gift cards, to crypto across multiple blockchains. So making it very interoperable and also aligning with the vision, which is making sending payments as they are sending emails via Interledger. So we're really excited about the future of what we've built, and also looking forward to continuing to collaborate with other community members. I'm going to drop a few links now. The first one is a link to the slides from our Interledger Summit workshop, it contains everything I just described now. And also, I'll keep it. I'll also add the link. If you want to get Chimoney payment pointer, you can also get one and try it out in production. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Awesome. So look forward to more updates and ecosystem growth by Chimoney in the new year. And so with that, I think, unless anyone has anything they'd like to announce or quickly jump on the mic, I will kind of just talk for a second and see if anyone interrupts me. You're welcome to interrupt me, but it doesn't seem like anyone's going to interrupt me. So let me just give a big amount of gratitude to all of you who have contributed to the work, to the products, to the tech, to these community calls. We've had a lot of fun. I know I can speak for Vanille and I putting these together every month. We're excited about these moving forward. We've been averaging something like 30 plus people throughout the course of the year. So lots of positivity, and it really is fun to check in with all of you every month, and of course many times otherwise. A couple quick shout outs. One, if you're not on the community Slack, I would go ahead and join that. There's active conversations happening all the time there. We'll make sure we put the link in the notes doc so that you can get to it if you're not there. Also, if you have any suggestions for how we can improve this community call, our community work in general, or otherwise have any feedback, I think for now you could definitely route it towards Vanille and I, either via email, vanille@interledger.org, chris@interledger.org, or on the Slack channel. We'd love to hear ways that we could make this meeting more useful and better for the community or other community efforts in general. I'll quick note that Interledger will be offline. Well, the Interledger Foundation staff, I don't want to scare people. The Interledger Foundation staff will be offline from, I believe, the 18th of December to January 2nd. So if we do not respond or get back to you in that time, that is why, and we'll be putting some notes from different places so that people know that. And from the bottom of my heart, we wish everybody a restful holiday season, or just a restful kickoff to winter or to the next couple of weeks, or however you define that. We hope that you can find some peace and some solace, and we are excited to get back together and continue to kick rear and take names in the spirit of financial inclusion in 2024. Thank you all.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.